Hey everybody, Captain Tech Review here, and today we're going to do my 1 year later review of the Dell Inspiron 7559 gaming laptop. Now, I have the laptop a little off shifted to the side so I can do fancy graphics over here. Ooh, fancy graphics gonna pop up there. So, without further ado, let's talk about what my configuration of this laptop is, and we'll get into what I think about it. Was it worth the purchase, and would I still recommend it again? And I have go over some details and some performance and things like that also later in this video. So, without further ado, let's talk about what I have configured in this one, and I'll talk about why that is. So I have the i5 6300 HQ quad-core processor, and it's a physical quad-core processor, which is important for me. I also have it's also 8 gig of memory, DDR3 1600 megahertz, and it's a one stick configuration. So there's still an open DIMM for more memory with the 16 gigabyte max, a 256 gigabyte solid state drive M.2 factor. That's a size of 2280, and also has an additional 2.5-inch drive bay for another hard drive, which is also a very big plus for me. The reason why I purchased this laptop. It also has an NVIDIA GTX 960M 4 GB video card, which actually works very well in playing a lot of games, albeit maybe not at max settings. To keep your frame rates up, you might turn some of the settings down, but for the most part, it plays a lot of games and it plays them fairly well. You also have AC wireless, and I connect at 433 megabits per second on my 5 gig band here at home on my router. You got Bluetooth 4, 4.0, you get 3 USB 3 ports, you have an SD card slot, you also have a full HDMI connector, which is also very nice. Of course, a LAN connector, RJ45, 3.5mm jack, and a little subwoofer and some speakers. Not too bad. Speakers are okay. They sound fine. I usually play with a headset anyway, microphone if I'm using TeamSpeak for playing games, whatever. But for the most part, speakers are okay. I wouldn't host a party with it or do a DJ business with these speakers. But for the most part, they're okay. Subwoofer, I don't know, helps or not, I don't know. It seems to be alright. Now, why do I have the i5? Well, at the time when I purchased this laptop back in December of 2015, the only configuration available on Amazon's website at the time was the i5, and the laptop was fairly new at that time also. You can only purchase the i7 from Dell, and I didn't feel like waiting. It was going to take a little extra time, and I wanted to take advantage of the 0% financing on Amazon, so I purchased the i5. And for the use I was using it for, when I did purchase it, I wasn't going to do anything CPU intensive. So I wasn't doing any rendering, wasn't doing any video editing, wasn't doing any Photoshop, or any CAD, or any MathWorks engineering type programs or anything like that. I was going to be an occasional gamer, with surfing the web. I have a few programs that I use on here for work, but nothing CPU intensive. So the i5 was more than adequate. And looking at the difference between the i5 and the i7 version, the i7 version has hyperthreading and the i5 doesn't. So I could argue that it's the same chip, one with hyperthreading enabled, one not. And Intel themselves also state that the i7 is roughly 20% faster than the i5, and basically I believe it's due to the hyperthreading. So with that said, the laptop runs really well, and I have here's a screenshot of some Cinebench R15 scores for the CPU and for the graphics to give you maybe like a little baseline. If you have a laptop that's different from this model, or if you have the i7 version, actually please comment below on what your experiences are with performance. You possibly run the Cinebench R15 benchmark, and you can post your results below and compare it to the i5 version that I have here, which go to 468 and roughly 63 to 64 frames per second for its OpenGL test. I'm going to get into using the other benchmarks didn't feel the need to. I do more. I rather talk about real application performance. And when I first started my channel, I did use this for rendering, and I used Cyberlink PowerDirector 15 for my video editing. And so for a 6-minute video, for an example, at 1080p with 30 frames per second resolution, not this video, I use another machine now to render. It was taking about 15 minutes to render a 6-minute video after editing. Not too bad. It's okay. Of course, while it's doing that, the CPUs are basically maxed out 100%. So the machine, I don't want to say is unusable, but it's not really. It's not. You can't do too many other things with it while it's doing that. While the CPU is at max 100%. So for something like that type of use, I'd say it's okay. And for games, here's a little clip of my settings for the game I play is World of Tanks. Here's a clip of the settings that I have that show I'm playing at full HD resolution, 1920 by 1080, with anti-aliasing at its highest setting, and all the graphic details full blast. And as you see in the game, upper left hand corner, you see I'm getting roughly 40 to 60 frames per second, depending on what view it is. And it's very playable, works fine. I've been playing the game for many months, like on the settings that you see. I've had it on like that for a while. And a lot of people can argue, well, it's not optimal. You probably should be above 60, so you might want to drop your things down. That's fine. I haven't found a need to do that. It's worked great. There's one map that does cause a slow down when you get into just when you dip below 30, which I would probably lower the settings to eliminate that. But for the most part, it plays games fine, and it would probably play most games. Obviously not at high settings, but for the most part, you should be able to play probably Witcher 3 and Tomb Raider and other games as such that are actually a little bit more graphically intensive than World of Tanks is, albeit not at max settings. So if you actually have this laptop in i7 or i5 configuration, please post what games you play on it in the comment section below, and so other users or even myself like to see what you get in comparison. With that said, a couple reasons why I chose this laptop, the Dell, versus something else, is I've been a desktop. I was a desktop admin a long time, a while ago for quite a bit, and I've worked on a lot of different laptops, and I've kind of preferred Dell. They usually have a bit of build quality, and I've usually had longer luck with them for longevity as well. Now, not every laptop's perfect. There were Dells that did break, but for the most part, they lasted much longer than some of the other models that we had purchased. With that said, as you can see, the hinges on here work even after a year of use are still solid and tight. I can raise no matter what position I put the screen in. It's nice and tight. It's not loose. It's not floppy. If I flick it, yeah, it'll bounce a little bit, but it's not loose, and it stays nice and tight like the day I got it, which is actually very nice to know. Especially if you're looking at this type of laptop, the hinges on here are actually very good. The other thing on the back, well, now that I closed the lid, one thing to note. One bad thing is that the finish on this matte textured finish is horrible for fingerprints and smudges. I basically gave up cleaning it and kind of left it in the state that it is now. A year later, it's not too bad, but you can see it. You can't. It's hard to keep it clean. On the back here, we have the back panel, and what's nice about this is one screw holds this whole panel in, so it's super easy to work on or even to upgrade. So let's do that real quick. Let's take this apart. Well, it takes like 30 seconds anyway. So once you get that point where it clicks, screwdriver in, pop the panel out. Very simple to do. Don't jam the screwdriver in there, it'll hit something. Boom, voila, we're in. And as I stated, you have an extra DIMM for upgrade your memory. Another 8 gig, give you 16, which is the max supported. Your 2.5-inch bay, which mine's still empty. I can put another drive in here for more storage. Here's my M.2 solid state drive, which works really well. And the battery, 6L battery, I basically get 4 to 5 hours of use out of the battery. Surfing the web, watching YouTube videos, maybe doing typing some Word document, using Excel, something that's not super intensive on power. For horsepower, you can get 4 to 5 hours, probably even a little bit longer depending on what you're doing. If you're going to game, you're not going to get 5 hours out of it. You're probably going to get maybe a couple, 2 to 3. But it works really well, and the fact that you can do this with one screw is a huge plus. So I can just get in here, clean the fans if I have to, do some regular maintenance without being bothered with dealing with 100 screws. Some of the old I've worked on in the past were a nightmare to get into. Even some of the older Dells were like that. As time goes on, Dell has made it a lot better to work on some of their machines and use a lot less screws. So I have an older Latitude E6400, for example, that's just 3 screws you have to take out to get to the back panel. Let's snap these back in. Alright, and we're good to go. That's actually super nice. Nice and easy to work on. Upgrade. The other thing I liked was it has a notepad on the keyboard, which is actually really usable, or is very usable. I like it a lot, and I didn't realize this machine was on when I did that. That's okay. It's not happy with me now. Let me restart it. Now, one thing I will say that even after a year of using this machine, I'm going to power it down. I'm going to power it back up. It still boots up in like 10 seconds or so. So power button, boom. And as you'll see, it'll come up. There's the Dell logo. I'm going to pull it back a little bit so you can't see all the stuff I have on here on my account. And boom, laptop's in the Windows. That's just under 10 seconds. That's after a year of use. I basically took it out of the box, turned it on, used it that way ever since. I usually would format the machine and reset up Windows, all 9 yards, but I didn't get any media. This came with Windows 10. I didn't get any media or a product key, so I didn't bother doing that. And actually, which was nice, is there wasn't much bloatware on here. So a couple of trials, I removed those and been using it ever since. And it's been running great. So would I recommend this laptop to another person? Absolutely. In this configuration. Obviously, I would probably recommend the i7, but with the i7 version, it only comes, if you get it from Amazon, it comes with a 1 terabyte drive with the 8 gigabyte SSD, which is basically like a hybrid drive, which isn't as good as a solid state. It's okay, but I prefer to have the solid state drive like this configuration. So if you get the i7, it'll have the 2.5-inch drive, and you can always add the M.2 later and use some software to transfer it over and make it bootable, and you're good to go. And you never know, someday, some of the older laptops, you're actually able to change the CPUs. So if the i7 CPU becomes available for this laptop, I can go ahead and upgrade it, maybe for $100, $150 whatever the CPU would cost. That's how I've done it before. That's how some of the other CPUs cost in the past. Usually $100, $150 I'll wait for it to come down to, and I'll swap it out. But for the most part, I've been very happy with this laptop. It's worked very well. I strongly would recommend it to anyone else. I have the link for this in my description below. Purchased from Amazon. Excuse me. Now, that's the i5 version that I have here, which is available for $739. The i7 version is also available, but you do not get the solid state drive in the format that I have here, which I actually prefer. But I'd rather have the i7, so you might spend a little bit extra money to get the solid state drive additionally. So keep that in mind. So yes, there is a newer version of this available, but people have been reporting the screens aren't as nice as this version is, and this is a 15.6 inch FHD IPS display, and it has been beautiful. It worked. The colors are great. The contrast is superb. I really highly recommend this laptop. It's nice matte finish on the screen. You can see it's not touchscreen, which I actually prefer. I don't want touchscreen laptop. I actually don't want crap all over my screen all the time. As you see in the back of this, picture that being the screen, especially if it's a touchscreen. Yeah, it's kind of neat to have it, but I prefer not, to be honest. But there's my 1 year later review. Still a very serviceable laptop. I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching. I hope this video if this video helped you out, please give it a nice thumbs up, nice big like. And I have more videos coming, so please subscribe like this in the future. And thanks to those of you who have subscribed to my videos in the past. Thanks for your support, and I'm very much appreciated. Once again, this is Captain Tech Review with my 1 year review of my Dell Inspiron 7559. Thanks again for watching. Captain, over and out.